The truth is that not many people understand what it means to have your identity stolen. And this kind of theft is growing as a phenomenon. More and more people are finding their records being compromised, which can then affect their future financial transactions, can even result to you being blacklisted. We're joined again today by Kalyani Pillay, CEO of SABRIC, the South African Banking Risk Information Centre, an incredibly useful resource to all of us to tell us a bit more about identity theft. It sounds so dramatic. It is pretty dramatic when we look at the repercussions. Welcome back. Always great to have you here, although it's always serious business that we get into. How prevalent is identity theft in South Africa?
Well, firstly, identity theft is not just a South African problem. You know, it's a global problem. It's absolutely prevalent because criminals are looking at every opportunity they can to steal any bits of private information, you know, personal information of potential victims. You know, they would, whether they get it from social media sites, whether they get it from your dustbins, dumpster diving is a very common thing that we find as well. So very prevalent. Unfortunately, you can't put a figure to it because there's so many instances of it, and it manifests in so many different forms and types. I
know you've touched on it very loosely, but what are the tactics that they use? Because far too often we volunteer this information. That's where it starts with us kind of opening that window. How are identity thieves getting that information?
Sure. Unfortunately, you know, when you and I as individuals provide this information to the criminals, we do it unknowingly. Yeah. So what happens is that criminals use various means to try and get this information from you. Phishing, smishing, vishing, where they make phone calls to you purporting to be somebody else. Go into your dustbin when you throw out documents that have personal information of yours. That's why we always say to bank customers, shred documents before you put it into the dustbin.
Burn it.
Burn it if you have to. If you don't have a shredder, burn it, really.
How much of an impact has social media had on this? How much of a resource is this for those skillums?
It's been a great source of information for criminals because, unfortunately, people don't protect themselves online. You know, when you're posting all kinds of things about yourself on different social media platforms, you don't set your security settings at the highest levels. You allow everybody to see it. Now, people forget that if you don't restrict who can view your posts, and if you leave it to friends of friends, you don't know who their friends are. And so, of course, the circle gets bigger and bigger, and more people have access to it, and that's what the criminals are hoping for.
Very quickly, what should we do? What's the first step if we now discover that our identity has been stolen?
Well, most importantly, you should contact the South African Fraud Prevention Services. They would be able, they record the fact that a person's ID has been stolen or somebody's assumed their identity, so that if anybody comes to check against that particular profile, your profile, they'll be able to see that this ID was stolen. If somebody is using or assumed your identity, it'll already create that early warning. Also important to notify your bank so that they also have record of it. And if your identity book has actually been stolen, then obviously you need to go to the Department of Home Affairs as well.
Sure, thank you so much. Very important information. Always verify any requests, especially someone posing to be from your bank, any requests for your personal information. Rather be safe than very sorry in this case. For more tips on banking safety, visit the SABRIC website and their Facebook and Twitter pages as well, so you can #WiseUp, watch out.
Wise up, watch out.